Do come in. Someone just killed Father.
Did she, or didn't she? This is one of the questions that has yet to be solved 121 years after the murders of her father and stepmother, Andrew and Abby Borden, on August 4th, 1892. Who committed the two grisly double-axe murders at 92 2nd Street in Fall River, Massachusetts, has been one of America's greatest mysteries, and has provided endless speculation ever since. Victorian sensibilities could not comprehend how a 33-year-old upper-middle-class woman could kill two family members in such a brutal and heartless manner. There were no witnesses to the crime, and alibis were unreliable among all those who could have possibly come in contact with Mr. and Mrs. Borden. With today's advancements in investigative techniques and forensics, these murders would have most likely been solved, but at the time when this tragic event occurred, there was no definitive way to ascertain who had committed the crime. So just as easy as it was to point the finger at Lizzie Borden, it was just as easy to state that it could not have possibly been her. She certainly never admitted to committing the crime, and after the jury found her innocent, no one was ever brought up on charges for it. So, the question remains today: did Lizzie Borden get away with murder? The Borden family had long established roots in Fall River, Massachusetts. Lizzie's father, Andrew Jackson Borden, was born there on September 13, 1822. Her mother, Sarah Anthony Morse, was born on September 19, 1823, but died at a young age on March 26, 1863, when Lizzie was only 3 years old. They had three daughters: Emma Lenore Borden, born on March 1, 1851, Alice Esther Borden, born on May 3, 1856, who died young, and finally, Lizzie Andrew Borden, born on July 19, 1860. Andrew Borden was a prominent personality in the Fall River community. On June 6, 1865, Andrew Borden, age 43, was remarried to Abby Durfee Gray, a 37-year-old spinster. It was certainly not a marriage out of love, but it was an arrangement that was advantageous to both individuals. Her relationship with Lizzie and Emma, Andrew's two daughters, would prove to be an acrimonious one. What the exact nature of the relationship was is largely unknown, but Emma and Lizzie resented her presence in the house. The Borden family can be described as what we could say as a dysfunctional family. They have a father who is aloof, miserly, and conservative, a stepmother who is concerned with her own lot in life and has little love for the family she married into, a daughter who is painfully aware of problems with the family but does not voice her concerns, and finally, another daughter who blatantly makes remarks about her circumstances and has no reservations defying her father and stepmother about those issues. On August 4, 1892, a blistering hot day at 92 2nd Street in Fall River, Massachusetts, Bridget Sullivan, the maid in the Borden family residence, was resting in her bed when she heard a cry from Lizzie Borden, declaring that her father's dead. Somebody came in and killed him. A half hour or so later, after the body was hacked almost beyond recognition of Andrew Borden had been covered and the downstairs searched by police for evidence of an intruder, a neighbor who had come to comfort Lizzie, Adelaide Churchill, made a grisly discovery on the second floor of the Borden home: the body of Abby Borden, Lizzie's stepmother. Investigators found Abby's body cold, while Andrew's had been discovered warm, indicating that Abby was killed at least 90 minutes earlier than her husband. The Fall River Herald reported that the news of the Borden murder spread like wildfire, and hundreds poured into 2nd Street, where for years Andrew J. Borden and his wife had lived in happiness. The Herald reporter who visited the crime scene described the face of the dead man as sickening. Despite the gore, the room was in order and there were no signs of an intrusion. 2 days after the murder, papers began reporting evidence that 33-year-old Lizzie Borden might have had something to do with their parents' murders. The Boston Herald, meanwhile, viewed Lizzie as above suspicion. From the consensus of opinion, it can be said, in Lizzie Borden's life there is not one unmaidenly nor a single deliberately unkind act. On August 9th, an inquest into the Borden murders was held in the courtroom over police headquarters, before criminal magistrate Josiah Bladesell, district attorney Hosea Knowlton questioned Lizzie Borden, Bridget Sullivan, household guest John Morse, and others. During her 4-hour examination, Lizzie gave confused and contradictory answers. 2 days later, the inquest adjourned and Police Chief Hilliard arrested Lizzie Borden. The trial of Lizzie Borden opened on June 5, 1893 in the New Bedford courthouse before a panel of 3 judges. A 15-day trial led to the verdict on June 20, 1893 of not guilty. The jury took only 1 hour and a half to return with their verdict. Due to the evidence being too circumstantial and Victorian sensibilities could not wrap itself around the possibility that a middle-aged spinster can commit such a heinous crime against her father and stepmother. The crime, gruesome and undoubtedly sensational, sparked the trial that became the landmark in the records of American crime and in the development of American mass media. Lizzie's possible involvement in the murders was one of the first celebrated cases investigated with the help of still developing modern forensic methods. Debate over who killed Andrew and Abby Borden generated a vein of publishing activity that has proven enduringly profitable. The murders occurred just at the cusp of a century where America would undergo more changes and technology would accelerate more than ever before. New York's strenuously competing newspapers covered the case extensively. The Fall River murders of 1982 are unsolved crimes that occupy an iconic status in the archives of American history.